Remote Teaching with Canvas, Summer Workshop Series, sponsored by the Faculty Development Center at Cal State Fullerton. Today we're going to be talking about socio-emotional considerations of remote teaching and showing support remotely. Teaching already comes with a plethora of different stressors, but remote teaching brings on a whole different set of things to stress about. We are constantly being notified of student submissions. Emails at all hours of the day are in our inbox, and we are constantly online, sitting at our desk and staring at a computer screen. When we teach face-to-face, we get to stand up, move around, interact with our students, see them in the office, and have social meetings with other faculty members and colleagues on campus. Unfortunately, in the online environment, we're teaching online, our meetings are online, and our social lives are online. So what are some considerations for faculty when considering our new remote teaching environment? When we consider our new remote environment, we need to think about different things we can do to take care of ourselves and check in on one another. One way to do this is to create a monthly meetup with other faculty or to join an online community of instructors. In this second image here, we can see the Faculty Development Center and two newsletters that you can follow. One is Mindful and one is Impact. Now these are designed to give us resources and ideas for our students, but the Mindful newsletter is also extremely helpful when thinking about ways we can take care of ourselves during this time of remote education. Another thing we can do for one another is to send check-in emails at just checking in to say, hey, how are you doing today? We're all struggling with this new environment, and it's really important that we reach out to one another when we feel isolated or need help. Another thing that's really important is to set boundaries for yourself and with your students. Making sure that students are aware of when you will respond to emails will also alleviate stress of the student, but it will also make you feel better because you know that students aren't expecting you to answer emails at 2 in the morning when they email you about an assignment. Other ways we can take care of ourselves is to find ways to decompress. We suggest meditating, taking a walk, or doing some yoga, but there are definitely other relaxing activities that you can partake in. We think it's best if you find something that is relaxing to you, no matter what that means. Another consideration for us is to take time for breaks and movement. Something that I like to use in my classroom is our brain breaks. These are 1 to 2 minute exercises that I can do with my students where we stand up and move around or do an activity that requires movement and coordination, such as touching your nose with your right hand and your ear with your left and switching as fast as you can. Now these are really great for you when you're sitting long hours at the desk as well, but they're also something that you can use in a remote environment when you're teaching synchronously on Zoom. You can also incorporate these in asynchronous courses, putting activities for students to do in the material that you're providing for them as a way to make them stop for a second, move around, and come back to the material. And finally, you should be gentle with yourself. These are trying times and we all have those difficult days. So find a way to take some time for yourself, take a breather, take a break from the computer, and then come back refreshed and ready to support your students. Something else that's extremely important during this time is to set clear boundaries for yourself and your students. We mentioned this already, but I just really want to reiterate it here. We sit at our desk at all hours of the day, and normally if we were on campus, it would be just fine to have specific office hours and contact hours for students. So let's make sure that we do this in a remote environment as well. We can set this up by putting hours in our syllabus or even in our LMS, either Moodle, Titanium, or Canvas, by saying that we're not going to respond to emails after a certain hour of the day, or to please allow us 24 hours to respond to emails before sending any follow-ups. Sometimes it's also important to set some guidelines for students saying in the subject line of the email or the message to you, they should put their name and the name of the course that they're referring to and maybe some information about the assignment and a link or a screenshot. This will help you also be able to support them and respond to their emails more quickly. Something else that's important is to set your Canvas notifications. Using Canvas is really great because we have all of these wonderful options. You can set to get notifications either immediately, you can have a daily summary, or you can have a weekly summary of different activities. Personally, if it's an inbox message, I like to get that right away so that I can respond to students if I'm in my office. But for other things like assignments or discussion boards, I really like to either have a daily summary or a weekly summary so I can see all of the comments and I'm not getting 100 emails a day at all hours of the day for each course. Another thing that's important is to designate a productive at-home work environment. Now, these can be helpful for you, but it's also important to remind our students that maybe they shouldn't attend their class in their bed or on the sofa. Finding a place to sit up straight is really good for our back and also our students to pay attention. But it's also important to take breaks every 40 minutes, to take a walk each day, and to set our computer up so that we are sitting and looking at it upright rather than hunching over the keyboard at all times. It's also important to designate a productive at-home workspace so that we are void of other distractions. Now, for some of us, this is easier said than done. We might have children or pets running around, and so it's really difficult to find a place of balance in our home when we have all these other responsibilities. But we just want to encourage you to try your best to find a good location that you can sit and do your work while you're at home. Now that you've taken care of yourself, you're ready to support your students. Now, we can support our students in a remote environment by creating a community. We can do this in various ways by using discussion boards, group activities, or external tools like Flipgrid, Padlet, or Kahoot. Also, we can add the human touch to our remote course environment by creating video content that shows our face and audio content that allows the students to hear our voice in providing material and information for our courses. We can also provide multiple ways for students to communicate with us and virtual walk-in office hours on Zoom by providing them with a Zoom link and the specific hours that we will be available on time for them to contact us in real time. We can also direct students to social hours and remote or online clubs and community boards and spaces that already exist in the campus community. Many organizations have taken to Facebook or online to continue those activities and opportunities for students, and student organizations are still really important and valuable to students even in this remote environment. Another thing we can do is to guide or invite students to do mindfulness meditations or relaxation exercise. We can either do this by providing a video on meditation, encouraging them to think and reflect, or to sit alone for a moment with their own thoughts. This is also another connection to our brain breaks that we saw earlier, which are 30-second to 1-minute activities to get students up and moving. Mindfulness exercises help the student center and come back and focus so they can continue and be successful in the course. We also want to make sure that we're checking in early with underperforming students. In a remote environment, it is so easy for students to fall behind and hide behind the computer screen, so we need to catch them quickly. So how do we know students are participating when we're teaching remotely? In a face-to-face class, we know that students are showing up to the class and they participate. In a remote and online environment, we know students are there and aware because we can check student logs and we can see how much time they're spending on Canvas. We can also get an attendance log from Zoom meetings, and we can see if they're participating in our interactive content and activities. In both our face-to-face and remote online classes, we can also check on students' progress through their turning in of assignments, taking quizzes and exams, and participating in discussions. Students who aren't doing their exams or aren't turning in assignments on time are students that we need to reach out to and early on. So how do we reach out to underperforming students? In a face-to-face class, we can chat with a student before or after class, and we can meet with them in our office. In a remote and online environment, we can send students messages from the inbox or through Outlook through our emails. We can also send them messages directly from the gradebook, and we can meet with them virtually during office hours. In both the face-to-face and remote online environment, we can send emails when assignments are missing. We can send emails when participation is lagging to motivate and encourage students. We can leave detailed feedback on assignments and how they can improve, and we can provide supplemental material if needed and support the student and their needs. So now that we've seen how we can support our students online, let's see how this works when we're on Canvas. So how can we reach out on Canvas? Take a look at Learn Canvas Tools 11, 12, and 13 to see how to use the student activity logs, the gradebook, and finally how to publish your course so that students may access all of the wonderful material that you've created. Thank you. We hope that you learned a lot these past few weeks with us in the Asynchronous Remote Teaching Beginner Canvas workshop. For more workshops and tutorials, please check out the FDC website.